Five to thrive, guys. Listen, five to thrive. You got 5 days before 2024. I'm excited, Bobby. You know something? This is beautiful because I do this every single year. Every single year, I'm talking about how 2023 is about branding you, and 2022. How did I say brand you in 2022? Listen, we've done this over and over and over again, and now we're about to move into another year. So it's like a reunion for me. It's become a pattern for me of helping you move into next year better than the year before. So we're going to talk about how you're going to make 2024 better than the years before. 2024 better than the years before. This is Sean Wright East. This is your Breakfast with the Brand. I am your host, and I am phenomenally flanked by Bobby Jackson again. Bobby, how you feeling this morning, brother?
Absolutely phenomenal. Bringing in 2024. My theme has been 2024 kick in the door, really just come into this thing with a militant mindset, getting it. So that's how I'm feeling this morning. Super excited, really excited to see where the call goes this morning.
Good, guys. Share this out. Let me just say that sharing is caring, right? Sharing is caring, and leading is leading. So lead the people that follow you. I say it all the time. Lead the people that follow you to what you have determined is important for you. If it's important for you, I guarantee you it's important for them. And if they don't understand it, if they're not going to get it, if they're not ready yet, what does that mean? That you stop serving? That you stop being you because they're not ready? There's a lot of people that are not ready. Think about it. Now, before change happens, are people ready for it? And the answer is usually not. Usually not. And that's where the term disruption comes from. So you become a disruptor when you introduce change ahead of its time. Change is always ahead of its time, right? Because if people could stay in their comfort zone, that's what they would do. But becoming successful, truly successful, requires you to break out of the mold, do things different, and become uncomfortable. This is the Breakfast with the Brand. We'll be right back. Let's grow. There's slow growth, and then there's scale. There's incremental growth, and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 + 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 + 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 + 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 + 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a zero to you, you can add a zero to the marketplace. You can add a zero to the value that you bring. So you can add a zero to your family, add a zero to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a zero. Add a zero to your competence, add a zero to your confidence. This is about adding a zero in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
So let me introduce you to our process, right? For those of you who are newcomers who might not be well cultured or encultured into what we do with the Breakfast with the Brand, this is organic. This is entirely organic, right? We're going to serve you completely and unconditionally. However, it's not pre-planned. It's never pre-planned. So as we think, we deliver, right? If you include yourself and you ask questions, those questions will be answered live in real time. You have a mass amount of education on the call. You have a mass amount of experience on the call, right? So the only question that is slow or stupid, as they say, is the one that doesn't get asked. So ask questions while you're here so that we can properly serve and attend to your needs, right? One thing I want to say before we begin is that it's not about the destination. So a lot of you are going to walk into 2024, leaving 2023 saying, what about me? Things didn't really pop off the way you would like it to. Things that you weren't really crushing goals. You had a lot of setbacks. A lot of things happened in 2023 that may not have served you to the highest degree, or you can't make sense of it yet. You can't make sense of how they're going to serve you in 2024, 25, and 26. So I want to start off this day, 5 to Thrive. You got 5 days left to make it right. But watch this. It's not about the destination. It's about the process and the mindset. It's about the mindset and the process. This is a process of becoming, guys. This is not about the destination. That's where I want to go with this, Bobby. I want everybody to know, like, it's not about, like, if you're not crushing it right now, if you're not in the state of winning, like, in your mind, like, if you don't have the championship belt, it's okay as long as you're still in the race. If you're still a contender, then you got a shot. That's a guarantee. You got a shot, because there was a lot of years, man, when it didn't look, the future looked bleak. The future looked bleak. It wasn't fleek. It wasn't really like where I needed it to be. But I said, I'm still here. And as long as I got breath in my lungs, I'm going to turn this thing around. And now we on the other side. So I just want you to know what it looks like and what it feels like. It's about the process and the mindset. It is not about the destination.
Wow. That's when you said it's about the process. I started thinking about all the leaders that helped me at various stages in the process in my military journey. I want to give a tribute. Like I've never done this. I got a list, very, very quick tribute of people. And the reason I'm going to share this is so that you can think about your process from a leadership standpoint, because everybody has had help. And what's beautiful about doing this is I believe when you see the help you've received, you'll then be able to identify some of the habits and some of the insights that they gave you. And when you're moving forward into 2024 and you can summon all of those insights almost into one prolific action and you can sustain that action over time, there's nothing you can't do. You know, so for me, very, very briefly, and I'll share like a very brief where they came from. So Cornelius, when I was homeless, he was the couch I slept on. Andy Sterner was the first person that received me when I joined the military. Zarate and Marks were my first leaders in the United States Marine Corps that took care of me and showed me the ropes. Sergeant Major Boyer, he was the sergeant major that saved my career. I was doing a lot in a speed limit where I wasn't supposed to be doing. And I'm talking charges a lot. And, you know, it was an experience where the people that pulled me over helped me out. The people that had the ability to burn me helped me out. And the people that had to help me through the process helped me out. So we're talking about the process, ladies and gentlemen. It didn't always look this good. Like it wasn't always the blue tie. It was me with a Marine Corps haircut, not knowing anything from anybody, speeding in this BMW that I couldn't afford, running late for work. That's what it looked like in the process. But somebody helped me. Then you had LaJuan Bray. He was a leader in my life. Then you have Barnett, Rufus Barnett, huge leader in my life. Massar Smith, like these guys impacted me in a way that I'll never forget their names. First Sergeant Sims taught me leadership. Oh my gosh. Quick story. He very quick. He overheard me getting chewed out by one of my senior leaders. And the senior leader was like, you need to get more aggressive. You need to be out there choke, like low key. You need to be crushing it, right? So with that, that's when I was just like going through the process with all of these different people. So I wanted to share that list just to show you that as you go through your process and as you're building your brand, you're going to get help along the way. You're going to have people that are going to add to your brand. Like the color came from one person, the tie came from another, the blazer came from another. And that's just an example. So that's like the piece that I wanted to share this morning because I was really thinking about them as I was thinking about Sean Rice. I didn't go through my whole list there, but Sean is at that stage now where I'm blossoming to the next stage. So it's been a journey, and I just want you to embrace your journey and take some time to pay homage to the people that were a part of that journey so that you can.
So watch this. It's funny, right? When you talk about speeding and being pulled over, I can remember being pulled over on my way to the gym, right? So it's about 4, maybe 3:30 in the morning, and I'm speeding. I mean, it's dark. There's nothing out there. So I'm headed to the gym real quick. And I'm going to get there, and I see the lights in back of me, and I'm like, interesting. Okay, great. So I pull over. Officer comes. You see your license? I give him my license. And I'm funny too. I stop systematically. I turn the car off, take the keys, put the keys in the dashboard, stop. That like I'm military with it when I stop. So I stop, do everything proper protocol, takes the license, goes to his car. And he's spending some time back there, right? So I'm like, I know I'm straight. Trust me, I am like a ruler. Straight like 6 o'clock. And he's spending some time. It was so funny to me. When he came back, he said, where are you going? I said, I'm on my way to work, but I'm hitting the gym first. So I'm going to the gym. I named the gym, and then I stated, where I was actually headed ultimately. Listen to me, man. When he brought the license back, he said, you really changed your life, huh? Yeah. He came to me, he said, you really changed your life. Listen, just by running my name, it was like, and he was able to say, you really changed your life, huh? Listen, guys, when I tell you that it's possible, and when you see people, you don't know their story unless they tell you, I'm one of those people, right? So you have a story. You're likely one of those people too. And I want to help you today to help you understand that it is possible to go from whatever lows you've experienced to the highest of highs that you cannot even begin to imagine. Because I promise you, we have yet to touch the clouds, right? We have yet to touch the clouds, but they're coming. They're coming. Whatever was your high point for 2023, I want it to be your low point for 2024. Write that down and underline it. Whatever your greatest accomplishment was for 2023, I want that to be your highest high for 2023. I want it to be your lowest low for 2024. So watch this. Whatever your biggest deal was, what was your biggest deal? What was your biggest close? What was your highest contract? I'm speaking to my CEOs, my professional business owners, and my entrepreneurs. You're closing deals all year. What was your highest figure amount? Was it 5? Was it 6? Whatever it was, I want you to write it down. And I want you to write something down after that. Highest deal in 2023. Underline it. Be proud of yourself. Underline it. And then right next to it, write lowest deal in 2024. I want your highest deal, the dream come true deal in 2023. Like Travis, the leader, just said, watch this, guys. Make your ceiling your floor. Make your ceiling your floor. So your highest deal in 2023, I want it to be your lowest deal in 2024. Let's grow. We'll be right back. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Sean Ra'is. I'm proud. I said Sean Ra'is. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. I want to highlight something I just said, right? In that little epitaph, right? In that little speech I gave. The right client pays $500,000 for what you do. The right client. I don't care if you're a speaker, coach, consultant. I don't care if you do weight loss, muscle gain, mindset, performance. I'm so serious right now. It doesn't make a difference how you, whatever your niche is, there are riches and niches, but you got to be specific. You cannot be a generalist. You cannot be, you have to be a specialist. But if you're a specialist, there are riches and niches, and it doesn't make a difference. I'm not emotionally involved. I am not connected to what you do. So I guarantee you, I say this with no bias, no opinion whatsoever in the matter at all. None whatsoever. I really can say that I don't care because I don't even know what you do, right? If you're watching this right now, some of you, I might know what you do and I want to help you go to the next level. But others of you, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you do. And I don't need to know what you do because I know that there are people who pay $500,000 for what you do. The only question is, are they giving it to you? And if they're not, that's what you're here to solve. That's the gap. Yeah. We want to help connect you to the right client with the right check for the right service. Real simple. Real simple. We here to connect you to the right person who's going to pay you $500K for what you do. Let's grow.
Yeah. And I love this because it shows us the connection, the branding. Like branding is the bridge. We talked about that yesterday. You know, if you're trying to turn that education, expertise, and experience into income, impact, and independence, the brand is the bridge. And what made me write this down was a lot of us know that the middleman costs us money, right? Anytime there's a middleman, the middleman's costing you money. So your business can be looked at sometimes as the middleman. So we say, okay, if I leave my day job, or I said business, your employer can be looked at as the middleman. So we say to ourselves, if I leave my business or I leave my job, I cut out the middleman, I make more money. But here's the piece that we miss if we don't acknowledge the bridge being the brand. The piece that we miss is this. Just because you cut out the middleman's job still needs to get done. Somebody's got to do the middleman's job. So what the middleman is normally doing in your job is they're sourcing the leads, they're getting the people in, they're building up the sales pipeline, and they're plopping people in front of you to serve. And what we don't always understand is that we cut the middleman out. We have our impact, our experience, our expertise, we got all that stuff, but we cut the middleman out, not understanding that the middleman's job still has to get done.
Listen, what Bobby just said, let me just put up a comment right now. Tia just said, rewind, pause, and start over. Rewind, pause, and start over. I said that the right client pays $500,000 for what you do now. And that's a fact. Guaranteed, certified, and delivered. Bobby just said that the middleman, the job, puts people in front of you. So let me give you my experience. You know the story. Les Brown says, Sean, never make a story without a point, and never make a point without having a story to go with it. So here I am. I am a counselor at the time, counseling in the Lower East Side of Harlem, New York. I love my people. I'm serving my people. I'm serving the underserved. Big heart. Want to help people change the world, one person at a time. Until I see my paycheck. And I look at my paycheck and I'm like, this is interesting. Because the value that I'm providing is exponential. But the paycheck that I'm getting is extremely incremental. The debt that I owe to college is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The cost of tea in China, or the cost of eggs or gasoline, if you guys haven't noticed, is not going down. But the paycheck remains the same. So I say something has to change. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to start helping people outside of this vertical. A lot of you guys probably have this idea. I'm going to start a business outside of the vertical, even if I'm giving the same value, because they don't value me enough to free my wife from her job, free me from my job, or give me the ability to give my children the life that they deserve under my leadership. So I'm going to start a business, go out on my own, venture off into the dark void, into the unknown. I'm going to take a soldier's journey into the abyss, the hero's journey. So watch this. You guys probably have the same idea. I get out there and I realize, I don't have a caseload. Now, as a counselor, I was given a caseload, a sheet full of names and times when these people would show up in front of me. As a business owner, I have to create my own caseload. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, so what does this entail? They tell you all the time, if you build it, they will come. Listen, guys, I incorporated it and no one came. So I had to create my own caseload. I had to start from scratch and I had to learn a new set of skills. I was good at what I did, but nobody knew that I existed. I was great, phenomenal at what I did. I had the education, I had the experience, I had the expertise. I was qualified, but nobody knew that I existed. So I couldn't get the impact, income, or independence that I required or desired until I solved the visibility conundrum. I had to solve the visibility conundrum. I had the credibility. It's not hard for me to prove my credibility. Not at all. At that time, I was working on my first master's degree. So I had the credibility. I was really the person. I had already written the first book. But I didn't have the visibility. So guys, listen, if you're somewhere in between credibility and profitability, wondering how you can convince people that you're credible and you're really the person and you want to make money, but you're not making the money that you want to, there are people who pay $500,000 for what you do right now. The only reason you're not getting it is because you're stuck in what we call the visibility conundrum. They don't know that you exist. And your job, should you choose to accept it, is to go from the best kept secret to the only viable option, the BKS to the OVO in your vertical.
Wow. This takes me back to my time as a Marine. I was in special operations, and I was in special operations twice. So first I was in Recon Battalion, and second I was in MARSOC, both of these Marine Corps detachments. And in Recon, I was, for a large part, the best kept secret. Only people that knew about me were the people that knew about me. And those that knew about me, they was like, get it to Corporal Jackson. He'll crush it. He'll kill it. And they loved this because as a corporal, you're not expected to do a lot. You're expected to show up and be a non-commissioned officer, but you're not expected to do a lot. So when people can give you stuff and you crush it and they're able to see that you're doing great, then you find yourself with all of these accolades. And that's where you might be in your business right now if you're still in the workforce, or if you're in the transition, like you are on your job, a crusher. You are killing it. People come to you, they say, you will get it done. If you need something done, go to her, go to him. But when you come into the marketplace, that prowess doesn't translate. Like if you come in the marketplace, nobody knows. But in your job, like everybody knows. And that's how I was in MARSOC, or that's how I was in Recon. Like in my cubicle of 4 offices, everybody knew me. But the moment I stepped out of that hallway and I'm walking down, chevrons on, boots clean, everything, nobody knows me. So what changed when I got to MARSOC? So there was something that happened that is equivalent to branding that happened to me in the military. I met Lawan, one of the people on my list. I met Lawan, and Lawan was a color sergeant. And you might meet someone like Sean Rais, that might be your color sergeant. So this individual knew what it took to get noticed. So he said, Bobby, he said, Corporal Jackson, I can help you. Right now, you are using the flag. Like you are what we call a guidon bearer. So I shot my guidon out, pulled my guidon back, and that was a part of my job. I moved the flag. But he said, if you really want to get out there, you got to be able to do more. You got to be able to get around people that can elevate you. So where you are in your business, you might be, or in your transition from career to business and turning your experience, expertise, as you make that transition, what you might need to do is figure out how to get out there. The brand did that for me. But to tie this story up, what exploded me from Recon to MARSOC was this one thing. He gave me a set of skills. He gave me a set of skills, and that set of skills was how to march within the color guard. When I came to the brand, I did that same thing. I'm trying to show y'all how I got the 400% revenue growth for 3 consecutive years. I did exactly what I learned in the military. I came to Sean and I found my Lawan. And I said, what do I need to do? He said, you need to do A, B, C, D. That was coaching, branding, speaking. Like those 3 competencies made me my money when I first transitioned. Like those 3 competencies. Oh, closing, 4. It was coaching, closing, branding, and speaking. Like that's all I had in the first year. And I closed deals. I closed money. When it was Lawan, he was like, you need to learn how to hold the left rifle, right rifle, and the middle flag. That's all you need to know how to do. So to tie that off, guys, and just give you some inspiration is you've done this before. If you are in business, if you are 10 years into your career, 20 years into your career, you've completed a master's degree, a PhD, like you've done this before. You've gone through this exact process where you didn't know, you learned, you adapted, you were in obscurity, nobody knew about you, you turned in papers, you got in the right clubs, and boom. So that's my piece. Is like, just take what you've done before and do it again, but this time, go for the gusto. Make all of the money.
Now, let me ask you a question, Bobby, just so everybody's clear. In what order did you learn those skills?
Yes. So I first learned branding like a leader. So that's lead generation. Then I learned coaching, and that was the methodology, how I was actually going to be able to convey my experience and get results for people. And then I learned speaking and closing. Then I learned closing. Thank you. So, and those two were phenomenal courses, but closing, I learned closing. I was able to get the deals, bigger deals, because in branding like a leader, we learned how to, get money. But in closing like a leader, we learned how to close deals, like high-end luxury closing.
How to raise the number.
Yeah. So that
how to raise the number.
Super impactful. And then it was speaking. And
right.
Speaking was where we learned to close from the stage. And I was able to do that too.
All right, guys, we'll be right back, and we're going to teach you real quick. We have to kind of summarize it, why it goes in the order that it does, and what happens as a result. We'll be right back. This is The Breakfast with the Brand. Let's grow. There's slow growth, and then there's scale. There's incremental growth, and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 + 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 + 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 + 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 + 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a zero to you, you can add a zero to the marketplace. You can add a zero to the value that you bring. So you can add a zero to your family, add a zero to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a zero. Add a zero to your competence, add a zero to your confidence. This is about adding a zero in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
All right, guys. So branding first. Branding makes you visible. Branding makes you visible. Very simple. Coaching makes you credible. Coaching is the communication, is the language of leadership. You should write that down. Coaching is the language of leadership. Leadership has to be conveyed in a certain manner. Oh, I have to give a disclaimer here. We don't do life coaching or just any old kind of coaching, right? We do executive coaching. So what Bobby learned was executive coaching, coaching for leadership development specifically, working with CEOs, professional business owners, and executives, key executives, people who had those 3 E's. the education, the experience, and the expertise. Now you may ask yourself, why, Sean? Why? Why do you concentrate on the people that have the 3 E's? Well, this takes me to my next point, which is profitability. They can pay you. It's very simple. You want to go from visibility to credibility to profitability, but you'll never get to profitability if you're trying to give it to people that are unqualified to pay you. Very simple science, but it's so simple that sometimes it's the most profound thing in the world. We all have big hearts. We all want to save the world, but you can't save the world if you can't save yourself. Remember, there's not going to be a caseload put in front of you. You have to go out and earn your traffic, right? And there's a limited amount of time. There's a finite amount of time. If you have a job, then your job, it may be unbeknownst to you, but your job has a finite amount of time too. And that finite amount of time is determined on how quickly and consistently and how big the deals they can close. So you have to be able to close qualified leads. Visibility, credibility, and profitability. Branding, coaching, closing, in that order. That's why. You can close deals but not know how to coach and not know how to deal with them, not know how to communicate with them. So what happens? People come in, they say yes, they pay you, and then they say, no, I'm out of here, and take their money back. Or they go back in the marketplace and say it was garbage. I worked with this person, I was there, I paid them, I was in this course, I worked with this coach, and I didn't get results. You have to be effective. You have to be effective. That has something to do with product delivery. Very important thing. Fulfillment. You can't just close deals and not fulfill on what you said. Most of the people that I work with tell me they've been in multiple courses, worked with multiple coaches, but the results weren't there. So I want you to do it differently. So I teach it differently. Branding, coaching, closing, which solves the problems of visibility, credibility, and profitability. And then speaking adds a 0 to it. Speaking allows you to communicate more effectively and go from the Zoom to the room. Yes, from the internet age to the physical stage. And it brings you the ability to close from the physical stage during the internet age. So you can literally have a call, like a challenge, have 50 people and close 10 to 20% of the room. You're closing from stage. And you're telling your story, so you're being authentic and natural. And this is where the shift comes. This is where the shift comes. When I said people will pay $500,000 for what you do, it's a fact. The only question is how proficiently, how professionally do you articulate your value in the marketplace? How efficient and how effective are you in communicating your speciality? And many people find the gaps right there when it comes to communicating the value that they actually bring to the marketplace. I tell people all the time, I ask people all the time, what do you do? And they can't tell me eloquently. They can't tell me efficiently. They can't tell me effectively. They can't tell me expensively. So you know what I do? What everybody else does. Undervalue immediately. Undervalue the individual and undervalue the value. Now, you might be the best person at what you do. You might be the very, very best or the most caring. But if you're the poorest communicator, then you will be the poorest provider.
Real quick, Coach, I remember being on a call with you and you asked me, Bobby, what do you do? And I was like, I am an executive business economics strategist and consultant. You were like, what? What? And I was like, yeah. He said, say it again backwards. I said, I can't. I can't. But one thing that I think I struggled with quite a bit was letting the ego go enough to let the people know. That's one way to say it. Let the ego go so that the people will know. And people don't know what an economist is, but my clients are getting economic insights on the calls with me. Have no idea. So I had to let my ego go enough to say, I studied calculus, I studied economics, microeconomics, macroeconomics. It sucked and I did it, but I had to say, nobody cares about what I went through. They care about the results that I can provide to them.
That's it.
That's it. So I just wanted to share that piece, Coach. Like I was the guy. I was Bobby Jackson, ex-Mount Tom Marine Corps, business economics guy, but it didn't matter. It made me no money. Let's say that. Bobby still.
I knew the problem. I knew the problem. As soon as Bobby said, I'm an economist, I said, bad choice of words. Bad choice of words. I appreciate your education. I appreciate your devotion to whatever school of thought in economics that you subscribe to. But nobody cares. Nobody cares. Write that down for 2023. Let that be one of your leaving 2023 knowledge points. Let that be a bullet point for 2023. Nobody cares. They only care what's in it for them. So when Bobby said, I'm an economist, I said, define it for me. And he went on and on and on. And I said, this is why you're not getting deals. This is why you're not closing anyone. Because as soon as you start saying those words, as soon as you start speaking those loud words, their hearing closes. You're closing people's ears. You're closing their mind. They shut off because you're using words they don't understand in a context they'll never understand. And it doesn't relate to them. You know what people want? He said, what? I said, money now. They want more money now. So if you're helping people get more money now, then say that. Don't give all the big spiel, right? Because listen, this is the problem, guys. We fall in love with what we do. And that's the biggest mistake that you can make. I need to underline that with a big fat red marker. We fall in love with what we do. And that's the biggest mistake that we can make. So I put something up earlier, right? Boom, I put something up earlier. I'm going to put it up again. You do leadership. You do mindset. You do speaking. You do coaching. You do consulting. You do weight loss. You do performance. You do finances. You might do branding, coaching and consulting. Phenomenal. Great. Watch this. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Straight talk. Nobody cares. What does it translate to in value for your end user, for your ideal client? What is the outcome? What is the value? What is the return? What is the deliverable? What does it equal to? So let's say leadership plus speaking equals what? That's what they want, the what. The problem that we have is that we fall in love with who we are and what we do, instead of falling in love with who we do it for. That's the connection. So let me explain. I have young people in my life, right? Young people. And I may say young people in terms of maturity. They don't have to be 4. They could be 14. They could be 24. But they're not my age. And they don't have my maturity level. So I have to take my huge, big, grandiose ideas, because I have 3 master's degrees and I've written 3 books and I've traveled all around the world. I got to take my passport language and break it down into bite-sized pieces so that they can understand it. And they don't have to chew on it hard. They can actually drink it. I have to liquefy it and make it easily digestible. For those who haven't built up the intestinal fortitude, what does that mean? Who cares? Nobody cares. Right? Yeah. You got to liquefy your big concepts so they can be easily digestible by your ideal client. That way, they actually understand what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And when they agree, when they can understand you, they can align with you, they can agree with you, and then they can make a decision to move forward with your offer. But if your offer is not clear, concise, or put together in a way that is easily communicated, you're excommunicating them. You're eliminating the possibility of them ever doing business with you because you're overcomplicating the matter. You need to liquefy it and simplify it. So there's another framework that we use called clarify, simplify, and amplify. I started off by saying the right client pays $500,000 for what you do, but nobody pays any money to be confused.
Yeah.
Nobody pays money to be confused. So it doesn't make a difference. And I love what you do, guys. Listen, I know that you're the real thing, the best thing since sliced bread, but it doesn't make a difference if you do leadership, mindset, speaking, coaching, consulting, weight loss, performance, or finances. All of these verticals pay exponentially when people know who you are. All of them need to know who you are, number one. Number two, you have to be able to communicate that in a way that is simple for people to understand. And this is why. So what's the big box? What's the big bow? What are you going to unpack for us, Sean? What's the big question? This is why people who are less talented, less educated, less experienced, and less caring than you have more clients and make more money than you.
Oh my goodness. I'm just letting that breathe right now. Just letting that breathe, because it's one of those things where it held me back longer than it had to. You know, if I would have just, let my ego go and follow the instructions, I would have moved a little bit faster. And that's why I just wanted to let that breathe so it could set in, because I found myself saying those exact same things to clients, just slightly differently, because in my space of like finance, they're usually holding on to sunk costs, like investments that they made that are just not going to pay off. Like it's literally determined as a financial sunk cost, but they hold and cling to it, much like we can do with our egos and our, perceptions of ourselves. So one of those things that I wrote down was decide. That was one of the things that really took me a lot of time, was deciding on where I wanted to be and just staying there, deciding and staying. So I would say, let 2023 be the year that you decide. You got 5 days, maybe take 24 hours to really write everything out, get your ideas out of your head and onto some paper, and then go get yourself a little whiteboard or something. Like, it doesn't have to be fancy, but choose, decide. And the 4D framework is I don't know, I'm sure we've talked about it, but it's decide, it's make a decision, and then give it time to develop. And I'm sure my coach will correct me if I say it out of order. Give it time to develop, or discipline. Second is discipline. So decide,
good. I was about to write it down. Yep.
Develop, and then dominate. And again, guys, that's one of the frameworks that I had to just continue to go over and over and over in my mind until I really was able to say, decide, discipline yourself, or resolve yourself to the decision that you've made. Give it time to develop, and you will dominate. So that's just a piece I wanted to share and add to the conversation, because that was one of the hardest things for me to do, but it wasn't hard. It just took me longer than it had to take, because
Here we go. Watch this. What you had to do, Bobby, is what everybody else has to do, and that's fall out of love with themselves and fall in love with their ideal client. That's how you can justify the simplification, or justify the liquefy. Let me say it that way. Justify the liquefy. Because you love what you do so much, and you love the education, and you love the 8 years that you spent in college, and you love your books, and you love your education, and you love how smart you are, and you love the explaining of it. But less is more. Say less, do more in 2024. Say less, do more in 2024, so you can brand you and really get some revenue. How about that? Most people that I find get stuck in between the first two verticals, deciding and discipline. They decide, and then they try to apply it, and they can't stay still long enough. And they go back, then they change their decision, and then they try again. And they try, but it doesn't immediately pay them. As an entrepreneur, we like immediate gratification, and they don't immediately monetize because nobody knows them, and they're doing something new, and they change their stance 5 different times. So they're like a politician that no one can trust because they keep changing their story. So it's easy to tell they just really trying to get money. They don't really have a specialization. They're just trying to get hired or get voted in office so they can do the same thing everybody else did, which is wonder what happened by making a whole bunch of money and being famous. Listen, you want to make a decision and you want to apply the discipline to give it long enough to develop so that you can actually become visible, credible, and then profitable in your marketplace and stay there long enough to actually dominate and become one of the leading factors in that vertical, whether it's leadership, mindset, speaking, coaching, consulting, weight loss, performance, or finances. It doesn't make a difference what your vertical is. There are universal laws in business, though, and they are thus. You've got to make a decision. You've got to have the discipline. You've got to give it time to develop. And if you do these things, this is why people that are less qualified, less talented, less experienced, and less caring crush it in business, because they applied the discipline long enough to give it time to develop, so they dominate. And why do they dominate? Because you can't make a decision. And they know it. So they're not deep. They're not deep. They're not really like better than you. They just made a decision and they could stick with it long enough to become visible. And then listen, all you got to do is hear something over and over again and it begins to make sense. How many songs did you not like? How many songs did you say, that is trash, that is garbage? But they kept putting it on you. They kept playing it for you. You kept hearing it everywhere. And then you were singing it in the shower like, oh my God, why am I singing this song that I hate? And then you're like, it's really not that bad. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
And then you're asking other people, did you hear such and such? Yeah, that's a pretty good song. Why? Because repetition deepens the impression. So if you're disciplined long enough, it's going to develop. It's going to grow. It's going to grow on other people. You're going to find your tribe. And they're going to pay you. And there's levels to tribes. And there's levels to how much they pay you. But you're not sticking around long enough. You got to go back to the decision. And then you got to use the discipline to give it time to develop and then dominate. This is not an opinion of mine. This is not bias. I don't know what you do. And honestly, I'm like everybody else in 2023. I could care less what you do. Whether you do leadership, mindset, coaching, speaking, consulting, weight loss, performance, or finances. It doesn't make a difference what you do. You ain't got to do none of that. You could be a gemologist. If you make a decision and you give it the time and the discipline to give it time to develop and matriculate, you will dominate in your vertical and you'll be able to add a 0 to your number and you'll be able to brand you and not what you do, which is why we're here on the Breakfast with the Brand. And we will be here tomorrow, same time, same place. My messaging never changes. The core deliverable of this podcast will never change. It will be brand you, not what you do. Add a 0, add dominance, confidence, be authentic, be you, brand you, use discipline, make a decision, develop, dominate. 2024 is right around the corner. You got 5 days to decide. 5 days to decide. We'll be right back. Next year. We'll be here next year. Same place. Why? Because I made a decision. Bobby, I decided. Did you decide?
I decided 100%.
Is your decision firm?
Firm and final.
This is what I'm talking about. We made decisions. I made decisions 10 years ago to do what I'm doing today, and I haven't deviated yet. What will you be doing? That's the question. This is the question, guys. What will you be doing in 2024 that you haven't done in 2023? Tomorrow, same time, same place. Let's grow.